Shadow and I greet you on this beautiful Friday, May 29th from the meadow of Hidden Farm Road overlooking Lower Mud Lake. May the peace of God be with you. Let us take a moment to quiet ourselves in heart, mind, and body, that we might be more open to the sacred presence within and around us. A reading this morning from Isaiah 40, verse 1. Comfort, comfort my people, says the Lord. I've been thinking about those words since I had a conversation earlier in this week and realized that in the midst of that there is some grief over the length of time that we as faith communities have not been able to gather in our buildings. And while there's been lots of wonderful new ways of communicating and still being the church, because while our buildings have been closed, ministry has been going on, and we've been reaching out and sharing and caring in so many new and creative ways, including what I'm doing up here in the meadow. But there's still a lament of the loss of in-person gathering, of gathering around fellowship tables after church for a cup of coffee, a cookie, a pastry, to catch up with people, to sit in the sanctuary where maybe a loved one used to sit beside you, or people that you knew and cared about who aren't there anymore, not just because we're not meeting in person, but because death had come and you miss them, as we miss being in our houses of worship. Grief. It visits us in so many different ways, and as I was sharing that on a dog walk with someone, they passed along a poem. It's a poem called "If the Trees Can Keep Dancing, So Can I." It was shared on NPR, and it was written by a community of contributors from around the country as they passed it along and each added something to it. It's a poem that speaks to the grief that we all may be feeling, not just over the death of a loved one, but over the many different forms of loss that we're feeling during this time that have been heightened because of those losses. I share this with you. If the trees can keep dancing, so can I. What I'm learning about grief is that it sits in the space between laughs, comes in the dark, steals the warmth from the bed covers, threads sleep with thin tendrils, is a haunting, familiar song. Yet I can't remember the words. What I'm learning about grief is that it rolls, like a heavy mist settles into the crevices, lingers on the skin, visits, then visits again, lurking under my chair, and when I'm not watching, reaches out her tiny claws and bats my ankles. Grief sneaks up on you. You find yourself on your couch with a well of rage living in the pit of your stomach and nowhere for it to go. And it chokes you. What I'm learning about grief is that it can come like a whisper or a storm. The loud as thunder, it leaves a hollow to be filled with a new planting. And when you wake for another day that feels oddly the same as the last, it crawls right back into your lap, an ocean of tears, so that you vary the crawl with the butterfly, the backstroke with breaststroke. At some point, drowning is no longer an option. What I'm learning about grief is that it is a language. Suffering is its own speech. It will not go away just because you won't look it in the eye. This pandemic, this tragedy, this fulcrum of life is a shovel unearthing secrets we wish would stay buried. I learned that I am ashamed. I love solitude. Hard times call for soft people. There is softness in stillness, in staying home, in distractions deleted, in a togetherness that stretches great distances. What I'm learning about grief is not found in mint leaves floating in a glass of tears boiled thrice over. It is an acquired taste which we never crave. It drips like water. It gets in everywhere through the small, unseen fissures in the ceiling. You can ignore it like dust. Just keep yourself too busy with laundry and living. Grief shows up unannounced. What I'm learning about grief is that it can turn you into someone you don't want to be. Can help you become someone you never thought you could be. Is it that transcends color, race, religion, gender? Is that it's an old lover that won't leave, trying to hold your hand again? That it aches in the arches of feet? That its mother is loss, is father change? Make room for it. Is that tiny losses add up? The missed first party my son was to attend. The school days he yearns for with his friends. I tell her it will be over soon. What I'm learning about grief, I learned a long time ago. Knead grief as you would bread. Weave grief as you would thread. There is no vaccine against it. We can't develop antibodies against it. It is something I have and something you have. But in these times, it is something we have. It is anger and denial. It is chaotic laughter from splintered memories. It is jagged cries and single tears. It is numb and indifferent. It is the pinprick of light promising a slow semblance of normality returned. What I'm learning about grief is to acknowledge its presence, its many forms and guises, then to use it while reaching out, connected to everyone who is braving this same storm. What I'm learning about grief is that it is still learning about me, learning that I am strong and resilient. So if the trees can keep dancing, so can I. A beautiful poem. Jan Richardson offers us our blessing as we go into this day. We know what it is like to feel hollow and torn in those times when it seems that God is walking away from us. The aching distance increasing with every step. It is that same inexplicable moment that God reveals God's own self to us, dissolving the distance and becoming bound to us all over again. Friends, enjoy this new day. And may the grace and peace of God be with you and go with you, even as we go together to love, to serve, to heal what is broken, and to bring life to all, for our love for one another, and for the love that has been given to us through the Creator of all, whose sacred presence dwells in all, regardless of our color, our identity, our nationality. May the Lord be with you, bless you, and keep you.